we reject in the strongest possible terms these kind of allegations made by Anna Hazare ji.
उनको गणतंत्र लोकशाही सही समझ में नहीं आया, ऐसे हमें लगता है.
If democracy faces its greatest peril, it is from the tyranny of the unelected.
आपको बर्बाद करने के, इस देश की बर्बादी करने का कोई हक नहीं. जनता पूछ सकती है क्योंकि वो मालिक है.
इस देश में लोकतंत्र है और उसका फैसला जनमत से ही होगा, और वो जनमत जो संसद और विधानसभाओं के रूप में हमारे सामने है.
शरीर में प्राण है तब तक ये लोकपाल बिल के लिए लड़ते रहेंगे.
Hello and welcome. Some fear the Lokpal as envisaged by civil society members will in fact derail democracy. We, as some fear, create unrestrained Frankenstein, a super cop, investigator, prosecutor and judge all rolled in one. Will bringing the Prime Minister under the ambit of the Lokpal hobble him? Or is the government desperately fighting a revolutionary move to bring transparency, a strong deterrent to corruption right to the top? All these questions asked by you, the citizen, will be put to the panel of civil society representatives in the Joint Drafting Committee that are joining us this evening in our studio. Anna Hazare, who's become a face of that anti-corruption crusade here in the country. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, who's part of that Joint Drafting Committee. Mr. Prashant Bhushan, also part of that Joint Drafting Committee. Mr. Shanti Bhushan, of course, an jurist, we know him well, part of that Joint Drafting Committee. Ms. Kiran Bedi, who's been part of this fight against corruption, also joining us here in the studio. We also expected to be joined by Justice Santosh Hegde, the Lokayukta of Karnataka, who's also part of that committee, possibly at 6:30 this evening. We'll go first, though, to a question right here. Some of the email questions we could, if we could pick up. In fact, we have a video question coming in from Bangalore, I understand. Let's listen into the question we have.
Should the Lokpal have the powers to investigate and prosecute also? Most people agree that to make a Lokpal cop, jury, prosecutor rolled into one can be dangerous.
We haven't heard Mr. Shanti Bhushan speak very much on some of the contentious clauses. Mr. Bhushan, if I can bring you in here. This is a query that has been put forth not just by this young woman from Bangalore, but by several people who want to debate clauses of this Lokpal bill. Do you believe that this fear has ground in reality at all? The fact that a Lokpal could become a super body?
It seems there is some misunderstanding in the public about the role of Lokpal. He will not be a prosecutor in the sense, namely who will determine the guilt of a person. That is the role which will continue with the courts of the country, the trial court, the high court and the Supreme Court. The function of the Lokpal will be only to investigate, which presently is being performed by the police officers or the CBI who are directly under the government. Since the Lokpal has to investigate allegations of corruption against those who are in authority, the entire world, the United Nations Convention insisted that it must be an independent body. The whole purpose of this Lokpal bill is to constitute an independent body which will not take orders from the government and which will only investigate allegations of corruption, and then if they find sufficient evidence, they will send back to court. Therefore, it can't become a super cop or something.
Right, all right. A corollary to that, Mr. Bhushan, we'll be taking that question forward. And what are the safeguards that need to be put in place? Are they in place in the draft legislation that is being discussed right now by the Joint Drafting Committee? But before we do that, I believe we have a question from Dipankar here in the national capital. Dipankar, whom is your question for? And go right ahead. Dipankar, if you can hear me, go right ahead with your question. I believe we've lost that link with Dipankar. I'm going to try and go back to him, but if you could pull up an email question here that has come in, I believe. Why aren't you, which is the panel here, getting everybody's view on bringing the Prime Minister and the higher judiciary in the Lokpal's ambit? Why is your fight day by day becoming anti-Congress? Does the BJP support your ideas? nknair@in.com is the question from where it's come in. Mr. Prashant Bhushan, if you could take that one. Is it become a battle of ego? Why aren't you bringing in people from the opposition? If I could add to that as well, what one saw as an apparent closing of ranks within the opposition parties when that letter was sent by Mr. Pranab Mukherjee eliciting the response of the BJP, the left, so on and so forth, including the left, like Mr. Bhardan writing back to Mr. Pranab Mukherjee saying, who is mandated the joint drafting committee to prepare that draft? Why are you coming to us? Mayawati with a similar response, Nitish Kumar with a similar response.
No, I think the opposition parties were miffed by the late and the perfunctory manner of consultation by the government with them. You see, the question as to why we are insisting whether we have had sufficient consultations on bringing the Prime Minister and the judiciary within the ambit of Lokpal, etc. We have had as much consultation as we possibly could. We have been trying to consult everybody that we can, including the opposition parties. Nobody till today has been able to come up with any sensible reason for keeping the Prime Minister or the judiciary out of the ambit of the Lokpal. In fact, in the drafting committee, the reason given was that some retired Chief Justices are saying this. Now, the reason given by those retired Chief Justices for keeping the judiciary out was that, well, the judiciary should be under another bill where another Judicial Conduct Commission should be looking after them. The question is, nobody has seen that bill. The bill that the government has brought is a useless bill because it constitutes committees which have very severe conflicts of interest. Judges of the same court will go into whether their brother judge is honest or dishonest, etc. And that bill does not deal with corruption, it only deals with misconduct or misbehavior for the removal of judges. The question is, what is the problem in having an independent body which is independent of the government as well as independent of the judiciary to investigate corruption by the judiciary?
Right.
After all, the only reason why the Supreme Court said in that Veeraswamy's case, today judges can be investigated by the CBI, but the court said that because the CBI is under the government, therefore the CBI can be used by the government to pressurize honest judges, and therefore that will compromise the independence of the judiciary, and therefore you must have the prior written consent of the Chief Justice.
Okay.
Now we are proposing an agency, the Lokpal, which will be completely independent of the government, which will investigate judges, and a 7-member bench of the Lokpal will give consent or not give consent for investigating judges. Why should any judge fear that? Why should that compromise the independence of the judiciary?
Okay.
Independence of the judiciary does not mean independence from corruption or independence from being investigated for corruption, independence to indulge in corruption. Independence of the judiciary means independence from the government, and this body will be completely, this Lokpal will be completely independent of the government. So why does anybody have
Mr. Bhushan, I'm going to come
fear?
back to whether there aren't inherent checks in the system already as envisaged in the constitution. Anna ji, but if I can bring you in here, प्रधानमंत्री को लोकपाल के दायरे में लाने के लिए ये बताया जा रहा है कि प्रधानमंत्री ठीक तरीके से काम नहीं कर पाएंगे, अगर उनके खिलाफ हो सकता है कि ऑपोजिशन स्पॉन्सर्ड केसेस हो सकते हैं, तो एक मॉरल अथॉरिटी उनका इरोड होगा, तो वो एक तरीके से काम नहीं कर पाएंगे. इसीलिए ये और जो प्रोविजंस है क्रिमिनल मिसकॉन्डक्ट के इन्वेस्टिगेट करने के लिए वो ऑलरेडी हैं आईपीसी में, प्रिवेंशन ऑफ करप्शन एक्ट के तहत प्रधानमंत्री आते हैं.
ये बात बराबर नहीं है. इसके पहले भी प्रधानमंत्री की जांच करते समय कहाँ उनको फर्स्ट एड आया था, वो तो काम कर रहे थे. तो ये बात बराबर नहीं है. उल्टा प्रधानमंत्री लोकपाल के अंडर आने से इस सरकार की इमेज बढ़ जाएगी, कम नहीं होगी
जी.
कि हमारे भारत में एक प्रधानमंत्री लोकपाल के अंडर में गए हैं, इसका तो उनको स्वाभिमान होना चाहिए.
Kiran Bedi, quick question before we go to our viewer. The fact that the Prime Minister will be hamstrung is a fear many have been expressing, that there could be frivolous cases that could be raised against the Prime Minister, and therefore the functioning of the Prime Minister's office will in a sense the Prime Minister's office will be hobbled, the Prime Minister will be hobbled. Do you?
On the contrary, I do believe that the administrative and governance will feel strengthened, because when the Prime Minister's office and PM himself is in it, he'll ensure that there is honest governance, because he's a leader of a team. And as a leader of the team, he is himself doubly accountable to ensure that no department which is his, because he's never without portfolios. The Prime Minister also has portfolios. Sometimes he keeps the defense, sometimes he keeps external affairs, Are you trying to say that those departments would have immunity? Number two, under the Prevention of Corruption Act also, there is no immunity to the Prime Minister. There is no immunity to the judges. So are you going to amend the Prevention of Corruption Act to provide immunity to them? That's the point. So I think it's unfounded. On the contrary, being a leader of a cabinet, he being in it will promote probity, will promote integrity.
Oh, okay, Mr. Kejriwal, we'll take a quick question. In fact, I think the question is for you. Kanak Patel from Ahmedabad is calling in. Kanak, go right ahead with your question.
Hello, this is Kanak from Ahmedabad. I have lived in California and मुझे ये बात बताना है कि ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस और जजेस को इस दायरे में लाया, लोकपाल के दायरे में लाया जाए, कलर लगाया जाए, वो अगले चुनाव में मतपत्रक में वो ऑप्शन की तरह और उसका इलेक्शन की तरह और उसको रेफरेंडम कह सकते हैं, ऐसा किया जाए तो कैसा है? और दूसरा ऑप्शन वो है कि legitimate survey or legitimate opinion of the people collecting the signatures on this Lokpal bill and its point could be collected. How do you think about that?
We completely agree with him.
Okay.
In fact, we have told the government that you see in this Lokpal bill there is a serious conflict of interest. The people who are supposed to pass this Lokpal bill, some of them in a way would be writing their suicide note. Because if there's a strong Lokpal bill, some of them who have indulged in corruption would be directly affected by it. So therefore, and it is the people of this country who have a strong interest in having an anti-corruption law, let there be a referendum. We are complete. But I want to respond to that Prime Minister's thing also. You see two things, the objections the government is raising. One is that the Prime Minister would become dysfunctional. Now, did Rajiv Gandhi become dysfunctional because of Bofors probe? Did Narasimha Rao become dysfunctional because of Jharkhand Mukti Morcha probe? They did not. So I think this is a wrong argument. Second, they are saying that he would be flooded with all kinds of frivolous complaints. And how do you... So we have provided in Lokpal bill that it is not that every single baseless allegation would be investigated. There will be a 7-member bench who would first examine prima facie whether there is an evidence made out or not. So all the frivolous complaints, there are inbuilt safeguards in the legislation which will not disturb the functioning of the Prime Minister's office.
Just the point of referendum though, Mr. Shanti Bhushan, the government on its part, and there are some who tend to agree with the government on this, that when a legislation is drafted, subsequently enacted, brought to the House, there is already a due process that is followed where the views of the stakeholders are taken into consideration. This is a time-tested method of lawmaking. Also the question that has been raised by the government, again some tend to agree with that, shouldn't the lawmakers be making the law, even if, as Mr. Kejriwal is pointing out in this case, there is a conflict of interest, but the constitution envisages for the legislature to make law?
Of course the parliament will make this law. But the question is, are the people not entitled to express their voice as to what the law should be? In this connection, I would like to read 2 sentences in a Supreme Court judgment, 7-judge judgment given in 1977 when they defined what was democracy. One sentence said, the consent of the people is the basis of democratic form of government. Secondly, it is axiomatic that no government can function efficiently and effectively in accordance with the Constitution in a democratic setup unless it enjoys the goodwill and support of the people. Now, it is the people who are suffering from corruption. It is not ministers, MPs or bureaucrats who are suffering from corruption. It is the people. So people are entitled to raise their voice. We are only giving their voice, bringing their voice to the notice of the people. If the people are fed up with corruption and therefore they are determined to put pressure on the government, enact a law which will at least to 70% extent rid the corruption from this country. What is wrong with it? It's democracy. People are the supreme in democracy. Government only their representatives. Every MP is duty bound to consult his constituency before he votes in the House. Similarly, all the MPs together must represent the collective voice of the people. That is why the people's voice, the collective voice, is being sent to the MPs, and they will have to have regard to it.
And as people of this country, we have every right to raise our voice. We are not saying that tomorrow we will allow us to sit in the parliament, we want to sit in the parliament or enact this law. As people of this country, we are suffering. We are suffering because of corruption, and the kind of impression that is being created is that once you get elected, you become dictators, you become despots, and we, the people of this country, do not even have a right to even raise our voice against corruption.
Mr. Kejriwal, in response to that, was what we heard the Congress spokesperson yesterday say, that you may call us despots, but we have to go back to the people and get elected, and what he called was the tyranny of the unelected. I'm going to come to that question, Mr. Kejriwal. Ms. Bedi, just a quick question from our viewer, though. If my producer could tell me where the question is from, I believe we've been able to reconnect with Dipankar. They're from Delhi. Dipankar, go right ahead with your question, please.
Yeah, is it fair to continuously blame the government and call them fraud and liars, even though the drafting committee has been set up and the meetings are going on? Don't you think that it will spoil the atmosphere and the goodwill of the committee meetings?
Ms. Bedi, do you want to take that question?
I wanted to connect with the earlier one.
If you could quickly respond to this one, ma'am.
Listen, I don't want to get into this.
अन्ना जी वो ये कह रहे हैं कि कमिटी के अंदर हम उनको बोल रहे हैं कि धोखेबाज हैं और वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं, तो क्या ऐसा कहना हम लोगों के लिए ठीक है?
क्या माहौल खराब नहीं होता? क्या उनका सवाल था कि क्या ड्राफ्टिंग पे नहीं फोकस होना चाहिए?
शुरू में जब ये ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी बनी थी और उन्होंने जीआर निकालकर हमें जो आश्वासन दिया था, तो उसमें जो बदल आ गया, तो ये धोखा नहीं तो क्या है? इसको क्या कहेंगे हम कि आश्वासन देकर बाद में बदल गए, तो ये तो धोखा है एक प्रकार का। तो क्या गलत कहा उसमें?
आप कह रहे हैं उससे माहौल खराब नहीं होता, ड्राफ्टिंग पे फोकस बना रहेगा। आप जानते हैं आप किस
one after the other there have been series of conspiracy. There was a CD, suddenly CD comes out, and CD, the government's lab says that one lab says the CD is correct, and suddenly there is a brutal attack on the people who are protesting against corruption in Ramlila Maidan. There are series of incidents which have taken place in the last 2 months, which raise a serious question mark about the intentions of this government to tackle corruption, to give a strong anti-corruption law.
Susmita?
Right. Quick one, ma'am.
I think there's a huge disconnect between the elected representatives today and what people are saying. Let all of these MPs who think that we are speaking out of turn or out of space, or we're not legitimate to voice people's voice, let each one of them test out in their own constituencies. Let them go back, call a meeting on Jan Lokpal bill and see what people say. And I tell you, the kind of meetings we've been having, and the people's responses which are coming, they've been invited to come. They've been invited to come and listen to them and speak to them. Nobody's dared to come. Nobody's come to listen to them.
And Rajdeep told me that your channel has been trying for the last 1 week to get these ministers to come to your studio and have a public debate.
The first duty
and they are not willing to come for any public debate.
The first duty of a public leader is to be on a listening watch. Are they listening to people's voices? There's a big disconnect today. And I think it's a very serious matter. Just because you were elected 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, you mean to say you have been to the masses.
Right.
Now you're not willing to go back to the masses because you don't want their vote now?
Right.
I think that's a problem.
Well, that brings in the question of the right to recall, something that was in fact brought up way back in 1975. That question also to Mr. Shanti Bhushan, but we need to take a quick break here. When we come back, questions from several other parts of the country as well on what many believe could be a landmark legislation. Vijeta, on the phone line with us. Go right ahead with your question, Vijeta.
Myself, Vijeta Avani, and I'm from Kolkata. Hello, sir. How are you? First question. And my question goes to Mr. Anna Hazare. That what is the guarantee that the Lokpal itself isn't corrupted? And the second question follows it. What are the safeguards against it?
Okay. अन्ना जी, अगर लोकपाल खुद करप्ट हो तो फिर क्या किया जाए और उसके सेफगार्ड्स क्या होंगे?
लोकपाल में अगर कोई गड़बड़ी होती है, उसमें लोग ठीक नहीं होगा, तो उसके लिए 5 लोगों की अलग से कमेटी है और वो 1 महीने के अंदर उनको निकाल देंगे, उनको पनिशमेंट देंगे, ऐसी तरतूद है लोकपाल बिल में.
Mr. Bhushan, just to take that question forward, who constitute members of the Lokpal? Now, there is a fear that you could possibly have people who are looking at this as a retirement option, like we have governors being appointed in this country. On the other hand, you could have, as some are saying, zealous activists who could encumber the process of administration itself. Who decides who becomes a member of the Lokpal?
So we have provided for a very broad-based and transparent and participatory process for selecting the Lokpal. We have a selection committee of 8 members, the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha, the Comptroller and Auditor General, the Chief Election Commissioner, 2 youngest judges of the Supreme Court, 2 youngest chiefs of the High Courts, all constitutional authorities. They will form a search committee consisting of 10 people who will have much more time on their hands, and they will go about this process of first preparing a short list in a very transparent and participatory process by calling for nominations from the people. Anybody can nominate people for this job. Thereafter, they will prepare a short list. After going through all the nominations and their credentials, they will prepare a short list of 3 times the number of appointees. The short list will be put up on the website. Again, public comments will be invited, and thereafter the selection committee of these 8 members will select the members of the Lokpal from that. So this provides for transparency, public participation, as well as a broad-based selection committee. Thereafter, if even thereafter somebody becomes corrupt, a complaint can be made to the Supreme Court. The senior most 5 judges will look at the complaint. If they find any prima facie merit, they will constitute a regular bench to investigate that complaint, and thereafter if they find that the member has committed some misconduct, he can be removed.
Well, we've seen one experience with the CVC. How difficult is it going to be realistically is a question as well, but I believe there are callers waiting in the line. I need to take this question from Bangalore. Deepu, I believe, is on the phone line. Deepu, go right ahead. Who's the question for?
My name is Deepu. I've got a couple of questions on Lokpal bill. First of all, I would like to ask that why did you take so long for the bill to come out? You could have done this 5 years back also when the corruption was on a real high. The second question is that why do you have to include grievances in the Lokpal bill? Don't you think it will become a heavy load on the Lokpal and it will be difficult to concentrate on higher order of corruption?
That's a question, in fact, Arvind Kejriwal, if you could take that. Shouldn't the Lokpal be concentrating on corruption at the top level instead of taking grievances at every level? Will it realistically become difficult for such a Lokpal to function?
You see, there's a misconception. We are not taking any grievances. We are only talking of corruption. If you go to a passport office and if you ask for a passport, they either demand a bribe or they expect a bribe. If you make a complaint against that, you are asked to provide evidence or witness. There is no evidence, there is no witness, and ultimately you can't make a complaint to anyone, and there is no investigation in that. So we have found a via media. We are saying that every department should have a citizens charter which should say that which work will be done in how much time and which officer will do it. So if that officer doesn't do that work in that much time, you can make a complaint to the head of the department. Head of the department, if he doesn't do it in 30 days, then you can go to the vigilance officer who is a Lokpal's employee in your district. Once the complaint goes to vigilance officer, it will be deemed that there is a vigilance angle to it, there is a corruption angle to it. You don't need to prove that after that. Right. Vigilance officer will have to get your job done in 30 days time. He will also have to impose a penalty on the head of the department and the lower officer, and he will investigate the charges of corruption. Now just one second, it's important. Smita, just give me time. Now it is important. Some people are saying there will be lakhs of grievances. I was in income tax department. I was just thinking, if one of the chief commissioners of income tax of any city or any state, if his salary was deducted in 2 cases, he will call the entire department, say that next time there should not be any grievance which should reach my office. So rather than having lakhs of grievances, the grievances would just disappear after that.
Right, but it's again bringing me back to the question about centralization of power and also of the state becoming a monolith again. I'm going to come to Kiran Bedi with that question, but I believe we have a viewer from Chennai. Suchitra, is Suchitra through? If we could take the question from her. Suchitra, go right ahead with your question.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Hegde. My question is, how has your experience been in Lokayukta in Karnataka? And the second one is, according to you, what are the effective implementation measures for Lokpal as an institution?
Okay. I understand Mr. Hegde, in fact, has joined us now from Bangalore. Mr. Hegde, I wonder if you were able to listen in to what Suchitra, the young lady from Chennai, had as a question to you.
first part about my experience in Lokayukta, I can answer. I think we have been able to some extent bring about good governance and contain corruption. I wouldn't say I've reduced corruption, but contain the growth of corruption in the state of Karnataka.
Mr. Hegde, I have a question to you. It's been rather public and well documented what we've seen happen in Karnataka with your report. In fact, once saw a face-off between you and the Yediyurappa government there. As many as 18 states, one understands, correct me if I'm wrong, have enacted legislation to set up the Lokayukta. Even so, the experience in these states aren't very heartening. How will the Lokpal be different?
Well, it'll certainly be different. Do you think that the functioning of Karnataka Lokayukta is similar to the other Lokayuktas? It all depends upon the enactment. In other states, Lokayukta Act is not strong at all. And powers have been given to Lokayukta. What's the use of blaming those Lokayuktas?
Yeah, all right.
And also we need to, because in Karnataka also the Lokayukta is only a recommendatory body. The face-off that you're talking of is precisely because of that.
You're saying it depends on how the law is enacted.
Exactly.
That is why we are saying that we need a uniform model for Lokayuktas in all the states, which will follow the model of Lokpal for the center, which will be a fully empowered, independent as well as accountable body. These are the three key words: independent, empowered and accountable.
All right, a question, I believe an email question, if you could pull up that question now. Ashish Monica is where the question is coming in from. The question is, why are you putting a fast done to death gun on your head for your demands? I'm sorry, I guess there's a typo there, but basically it's about the fast for the demands to be met by the 15th of August. Is this civil? I agree with your fight against corruption, but not your method. अन्ना जी ये पूछ रहे हैं कि आप क्या ब्लैकमेल नहीं कर रहे हैं सरकार को ये कह के कि 15 अगस्त तक आपको ये बिल पारित करना चाहिए पार्लियामेंट में?
ये कहना बराबर नहीं है। इस देश में गणतंत्र है, प्रजातंत्र है, लोकशाही है। जब लोगों ने एमएलए एमपी को भेजा है तो उनका दर्जा वोटर से दुय्यम है। वोटर इस देश का मालिक है, मालिक ने भेजा है। तो वो लोग कैसे काम करते, क्या करते, देखना तो उसका हक है ना।
लेकिन अन्ना जी, पार्लियामेंट को भी टाइम चाहिए इस बिल को डिबेट करने के लिए। तो एक डेडलाइन सेट करने का मतलब होता है कि शायद वो ड्यू प्रोसेस फॉलो ना हो, वो बिल उस तरीके से डिबेट ना हो पार्लियामेंट के अंदर।
जंतर मंतर पर सरकार ने ये कहा था कि समर के जो अधिवेशन आएगा उसमें हम पारित करेंगे। तो जंतर मंतर पर हम लोग ये डिक्लेयर किया था कि समर का जो अधिवेशन आएगा उस टाइम पर सरकार करेगी तो 16 अगस्त तक हम लोग रुकेंगे।
Mr. Shanti Bhushan, aren't we being a little presumptuous here? Shouldn't Parliament be given the time to duly debate the law on the floor of the House? How can we presume that their legislators don't want to debate certain provisions and that could take time longer than the 15th of August? What's the point of setting a deadline?
Certainly. The monsoon session is going to start in July. July to August. How many days one single bill will be debated? We have seen in 5 minutes 10 bills being passed by vote. I think there is sufficient time to debate this bill. People are very angry. They have been waiting for more than 40 years. Today the anger has reached top because they are suffering from corruption, and that is why they are putting pressure on all the parliamentarians, all the parties. You please expedite, discuss it. You can have several weeks to discuss it, but you can't have years to discuss it. And that is why they are saying, have plenty of time to discuss, but pass it.
Right. So you're preempting, in a sense, the parliamentarians looking to put off the bill yet again, it having been introduced so many times. We have जी अन्ना जी।
ब्लैकमेल उसको कहते हैं कि जो आदमी अपने खुद के स्वार्थ के लिए किसी को धोखा देता है वो ब्लैकमेल है। ये तो देश के लिए एक अच्छा काम करने के लिए क्यों ना प्रेशर डालकर करें हम।
Nothing works without timetables. You do not achieve targets without deadlines and targets.
It's been 42 years now.
And it's a common management principle in management that you have to set deadlines for yourself to achieve. Otherwise, it goes on and on. And the point here is you have waited for 42 years.
The same parliament has already been debating this for 42 years. I don't know how many standing committee reports are already there.
Fair enough. There's a question here from Delhi, Satish Chandra on the phone line. I believe, Satish, go right ahead with your question.
My question is, hello.
Right, Satish, go ahead.
I welcome the movement against corruption. At the same time, I welcome Prime Minister being taken under the purview of the Lokpal. But at the same time, I want to know from the members of the civil society that what is the basis of every time calling the Prime Minister an honest man, his cabinet a very dishonest government. And secondly, even today, Anna said Prime Minister is a very honest man. Kejriwal said he is the most honest since independence. And then again, asking Anna to the Sonia Gandhi that she should check them. So when she is a bad remote control, at the same time asking her to check her Prime Minister's government, how far it is correct? And secondly, what is the basis of Prime Minister being called honest and his ministers corrupt? How is he honest if playing in the hands of a dishonest remote control? Is not everybody honest unless proved otherwise? Are we not playing into the hands of one section within the Congress party against another and taking on Mrs. Gandhi and leaving aside Manmohan Singh? Even Ramdev has said that he has forgiven Manmohan Singh, but should Sonia Gandhi be held responsible if anything goes wrong with him?
You're an astute political observer, Mr. Chandra, I'd say, but there were so many questions in that one. Response, quick one, Arvind Kejriwal, to the first question he asked you. Why do you keep calling the Prime Minister?
I would say that if Prime Minister is honest and if he has a dishonest cabinet, he should resign and join the movement against corruption with us.
Oh, all right. Another question here from Arunima, I believe, from the National Capital in Delhi. Like the question's coming in live. Arunima, if you can hear me, whom is your question for? And go right ahead with your question.
This question is for the whole Anna team. I would like to ask that why is the corruption that is happening today and people who are actually facing it is one of the corporators. The corporate sectors are actually facing it big time. So why is the movement not being supported by the corporates?
Are you saying they are the perpetrators of corruption? Are you saying they are the victims of corruption?
Yeah, they are actually forced into corruption. We all know that. But why aren't they supporting the movement? Why aren't they coming forward?
You get a sense of what she's asking.
Yeah. You see, there are a few corporates who are the perpetrators of corruption. They have become like a corporate mafia in this country. Even today there is a report about a CAG report on this Reliance and this oil field scam, which is perhaps bigger than even 2G. So there are those corporates who are the beneficiaries of this kind of corruption and who will obviously not come and support this movement against corruption. But I think the majority of the corporations in this country are the victims of corruption. They also want an honest business environment where they can do honest business, which they are finding increasingly difficult in this country. Because those few big mega corporate houses who are the beneficiaries of corruption are monopolizing all the big deals, all big business, etc., by leveraging on this bribery
so there's no level playing
with public servants. So therefore, that is why, in my opinion, the majority of the corporates in this country would be supporting this movement, though many of them would be afraid to come out in the open to support this because they feel that they will be victimized.
Smita? Ms. Bedi, I have a question for you. In fact, a similar fear that has been articulated by some corporates, if I may, they believe, if I could read that out, in fact, that were we to enact the Lokpal legislation and create the Lokpal as is being envisaged by civil society members, aren't we bringing back the state? After freeing the system of state control, aren't we bringing back license Raj? Will this not become an excuse for inaction? And you've in fact spoken about red tape in the past. Won't bureaucrats sit on file saying that, look, I'm going to be coming under a cloud, this decision cannot be taken? Will this be an excuse for inaction? Is a fear that has been expressed by some?
I think this is going to be one of the most transparent functioning anti-corruption authority. One of the most transparent. You see, it's one of, because it's going to be putting documents on file once the cases are closed. You don't have that right to access. You don't have that access today to the CBI files. So therefore, this should be very assuring. This is inbuilt. The transparency is inbuilt in its total functioning.
Ms. Bedi, are you saying that if discretionary power of every kind is taken away?
We are not saying that. We're not saying that.
Right,
no one is saying that.
If discretionary power of every kind is taken away, that's one of the fears that is being
taken away.
No
what you're actually doing by this movement is actually putting in a system which doesn't exist. In fact, can I finish?
Yeah.
What Anna is actually contributing by this movement is, for the first time, giving a holistic system of anti-corruption, which is independent, accountable and transparent, which doesn't exist. At the moment, it exists in pieces. You have a CBI, which is not independent, which is under political influence. You have a CVC, which is only advisory, which does not investigate. So, and nobody listens to the advice. We know there's evidence of it. You have vigilance departments in various, I know there are vigilance departments in Delhi police. Can that vigilance department, that same DCP vigilance, investigate the police commissioner if he's known to be corrupt? At the moment, you have all these spread out. What Lokpal is putting a system in place. Provide the independence, which CBI doesn't have. Provide a mandatory decision making, which CVC doesn't have. Provide the independence also, which vigilance doesn't have, and make them more accountable. It's putting a system in place for the first time, and secondly, it's also responding to a common man. For common man, there is no voice. Where does a common man today, if I have to pay, where do I ring up 100 and will 100 the PCR respond to me because there's a bribe? I don't call 100 because I don't believe. But if my pocket is picked, and if my purse is lost in a bus, right, I call 100. There is 100 for a pickpocketing of a bus, but there is no 100 to call these crores which have been lost, right, whether they are small, whether they are big.
Right, that brings me to the question, is the Lokpal the panacea for all ills? We will take that question forward, but I'm being told by producers we need to take a quick break here because we have several of our viewers who are calling in. A quick break here. When we come back, Team Anna will continue to take your questions. Citizen are asking Team Anna questions on that proposed Lokpal legislation. There's a viewer from Mumbai who now has a question for Team Anna. Tariq Engineer, I believe. Tariq, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tariq Engineer and I'm from Mumbai. And I have a question that I would like to ask Team Anna. Is it fair to keep calling the government liars and frauds while the Joint Drafting Committee meetings are on? Doesn't that create an unhealthy atmosphere in the meetings and destroy goodwill?
Well, it's a question that was asked from Delhi as well. Mr. Shantibhushan, do you want to respond to that at all?
See, we don't use normally strong language, but sometimes when something is done which is so apparently wrong, then one has to respond. Otherwise, we are trying to maintain the calmest possible atmosphere in the drafting committee meeting, and we will continue to do so. We are totally civil to all the ministers sitting there. We are only presenting our arguments and expecting some arguments from their side.
Mr. Bhushan, I have a question for you. In 1975, that one legal victory of yours changed the course of events. And some are drawing parallels between now and 1975. There was high inflation then. There was almost hostility among the people moved against corruption. Do you see similarities between now and 1975?
Well, there is some similarity in the sense that even at that time, the people's mood was not being properly judged by the ruling party, which was in power, and therefore they disregarded, imposed emergency and paid the price for it. After the next election, in the whole of North India, the Congress got out of 350 just one seat. If this government continues to disregard the volume of public opinion on this issue of corruption, it is going to meet the same fate. It is time enough for the government to realize this and go to the people, find out why are they so angry against corruption and what is it that can quell their anger. A proper, empowered Lokpal which will put a big dent on corruption alone will allay them. Therefore, it is time that the government realizes this.
The anger is deep-seated, the anger is wide-ranging, as Mr. Shanti Bhushan is saying. I believe we have a question from Chennai. Naveen Galada is joining us with a question. Naveen, go right ahead.
Yeah, hi there. See, my question is government planning to divide the civil society?
Okay. Is the government dividing civil society? Did you see that?
Well, they have been attempting to divide the people, one section from the people from the other, but they have not succeeded in it because the anger of the people is overriding all other considerations. There might be differences on different issues between different sections of people, but so far as the fight against corruption is concerned, people are united. Similarly, the fight for democratic rights, namely people's right to peacefully protest, on which the entire country is together.
Right, referring of course to that crackdown in the Ramlila Maidan. I'm afraid we'll have to take a quick break here, but keep those calls coming in. We're going to be returning in just a moment with more questions for Team Anna. The show continues. This is CNN IBN, and on the eve of that crucial joint drafting committee meeting on the Lokpal legislation, you, the citizen, are asking questions of Team Anna who are here in the studio with us. We have a viewer from Delhi, Gaurav Bakshi, who in fact was a citizen journalist on this channel earlier, with a question here for Team Anna. Gaurav, you, I understand, were part of the several people who had gathered at Jantar Mantar when Anna Hazare had first raised the issue, had gone on a fast. Do you have questions on the provisions in the legislation? What is it that you wish to ask?
My question is directed towards Arvind Kejriwal and Prashant Bhushan. The concern that has been raised by many is will this become a draconian law which will give it power over all institutions across India and be a potential threat to democracy? And if so, let's assume for a second it does come through. What is the guarantee that this will actually remove corruption when you see, even though an example of Hong Kong is taken where it worked, but there is another country, which is China, where an authoritarian government has not been able to remove corruption. It is ranked much higher than India on the corruption scale.
Right,
so if you could throw some light on this.
Right, Gaurav, you're echoing a thought that I had. Both of you, Mr. Bhushan, if you could go first on the comparison here.
First, he asks what will ensure that this doesn't become draconian. It's because firstly, it's only an investigative body. It doesn't have any other executive powers except investigating for corruption. And we have put in several provisions to ensure that its integrity remains intact. There is accountability of various kinds. As I said, there is transparency in functioning that is mandated under the Act itself. All their investigation records will be put out on the website. They will be subject to an annual performance and financial audit by the CAG. Any complaints against members of the Lokpal will go to the Supreme Court, and they can remove the Lokpal if they are found guilty of misconduct. All the other machinery under the Lokpal will be subject to complaints by an independent Lokpal complaints authorities, which will be set up in every state.
Right.
In every state. So therefore, every effort has been made to ensure that while it is empowered to carry out independent and deep enough investigations, have all the investigative powers, yet to ensure that they will be fully accountable in multiple ways so that their powers are not misused.
Okay.
We don't want a sort of a lame Lokpal to be created which does not have adequate powers of investigation.
And somebody who would be able to answer that question is someone who's been in the hot seat himself, the Lokayukta of Karnataka, Justice Santosh Hegde. I wonder if you could listen into the question asked by Gaurav Bakshi here from Delhi, if you want to add on to what Mr. Prashant Bhushan here had to say, the fear being expressed by several that will this prove to be draconian? will this prove to be, in my words, Frankenstein?
No, certainly not. No, I can assure the people of India that it will never be a draconian institution, because every act of Lokpal will be subject to judicial review. If it is unlawful, it will be struck down. I don't think people should have any fear at all once it is under the Supreme Court, so far as its legitimacy is concerned.
All right, Gaurav Bakshi, you could listen to the response here. I believe you have a supplementary question as well. Before we come to Mr. Kejriwal, a quick question from you.
The supplementary question is to Santosh. I am sorry, I wasn't sure if the second part of my first question was answered regarding China and Hong Kong.
I'll take that question to Mr. Kejriwal and come back to you, Mr. Kejriwal.
You see, first I want to just add to that. When it is said that it is going to be a draconian law, then two issues are raised: the jurisdiction of Lokpal and the powers of Lokpal. It is being said that it will have jurisdiction over executive, judiciary, legislature, prime minister, chief justice, etc., etc.
Yes.
But that is, any law enforcement has jurisdiction over everyone. For instance, income tax department, it has jurisdiction over executive, legislature, members of parliament, chief justice, and income tax officer examines the returns of everyone. Likewise, Lokpal will examine any allegation of corruption. You can't have a separate income tax department for legislature, separate income tax department for judiciary. So similarly, there is one body, so there is nothing to worry about. It's not that Lokpal is sitting here. It will just do his job. His job is to investigate allegations of corruption. The second is about the powers of Lokpal. Now, we have not given any power under the Act which is not already enjoyed by CBI. The powers which are enjoyed by CBI today are the powers which are being proposed for Lokpal also. Now, if you don't give those powers, what do we expect? That Lokpal will go and stand with folded hands before Kalmadi and Raja and say, please declare your ill-gotten wealth. They need the powers to investigate, but we need adequate checks and balances which have been proposed. His question is about Hong Kong and China. China does not have an effective anti-corruption system. It is not about having an authoritarian government and that authoritarian government will check corruption. On the contrary, authoritarian government becomes the cause of corruption. So China does not have today an effective anti-corruption law. Hong Kong in 1970s had huge amount of corruption. It is only when they set up an independent commission against corruption, exactly on the lines of Lokpal, that we are suggesting that today Hong Kong is one of the best countries in the world.
You can check up on that, Gaurav Bakshi. That's the word coming in here from Arvind Kejriwal. You have a question for Justice Hegde as well, Gaurav? Or?
Yes, I do have a quick one for him. Right. Santosh Hegde, sir, what is your thought and opinion on the Baba Ramdev movement? Do you support it, and how do you foresee it now playing a role in this civil movement?
Justice Hegde.
I've been taking a consistent view. So far as Baba Ramdev's movement is concerned, when it concerns fight against corruption, we support it. In other regards, no, we are not with him at all. The bringing back black money and appropriating it to the government is part of fighting corruption. We will support that. There are many other things which doesn't concern corruption with which we are not in agreement with.
Right. All right, Justice Hegde, I believe we have a question of a similar nature from Hyderabad. Ramesh, I believe, with a question for Annaji.
Hi, this is Ramesh from Hyderabad, and this question is for you, Annaji. Annaji, while I have immense respect for you, I just have one thing to ask you. Now, why do you even think of supporting someone like Baba Ramdev, who has no clue why he is agitating for in the first place? Besides, he doesn't have a very clean background. Now, by supporting someone like him, don't you think your credibility is going to be affected in some way?
अन्ना जी, ये परसेप्शन की बात है. आपने सवाल सुना, आपके लिए था. वो कह रहे हैं आपने
रामदेव जी को आप क्यों
सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं?
क्या आप सपोर्ट करते हैं?
परसेप्शन ये है कि बाबा रामदेव और आप में काफी फर्क है, और आप उनको सपोर्ट करेंगे तो आपके मूवमेंट की क्रेडिबिलिटी को नुकसान पहुंचेगा.
शुरू में हम लोग करप्शन पर इकट्ठा कर हम सपोर्ट किया था, लेकिन अभी तो हम अपना सपोर्ट निकाल लिया है. जब शस्त्र की बात आ गई, हम 11,000 फौज करेंगे, सबको बंदूक दे देंगे, तो ये तो हमारे इसमें कैटेगरी में बैठता नहीं. हम तो अहिंसा के मार्ग से चलने वाले लोग हैं. हिंसा करके कैसे होगा? तो हम डिक्लेयर कर दिया कि अभी रामदेव बाबा को हम लोग सपोर्ट किया था, अभी आगे के लिए नहीं.
मिस्टर भूषण, व्हाट्स योर व्यू ऑन दैट?
We are only supporting his demand, the two demands, namely a proper Lokpal bill and the other bringing the black money which many people have stashed outside. We are supporting the demands, but we are not supporting all his methods. We are not concerned with his background, etc. Anybody who makes a good demand and all wants to support this movement is welcome. But that doesn't mean that we are supporting Baba Ramdev in all his doings, etc.
Is there a difference of opinion, Arvind Kejriwal?
No, I completely agree.
You do, Mr. Bhushan?
No, I agree. You see, the thing is, we don't know that much about the background and the means of Baba Ramdev. The fact is that he has, at least for the last 6 months, I have been saying that he has been very, very strenuously and consistently raising his voice against corruption. He has carried out a very strong campaign against corruption over the last 6 months. And to that extent, we support him and we applaud him for his campaign against corruption. Personally speaking, for myself, I support some of his other demands also. For example, banning genetically modified foods in this country, which I think are a great threat. We have a case PIL going on in the Supreme Court against that. For example, even demonetizing 1,500 rupee notes, I personally support that demand also, because I feel that that will go a long way in curbing black money, the whole black money economy in this country.
Okay.
But that does not mean that we support everything that he says, or we support his demand for raising
army,
etc.
Okay, that's on the table. On the extent to which Team Anna supports Baba Ramdev and his campaign against corruption. A viewer from Chennai, I believe, has a question for Team Anna. Sanjay. Sanjay, go right ahead.
Yeah. Good evening to the Anna team. My question is, in case the government doesn't listen to you and you go ahead with the fast once again, the government will go ahead with its own version of the Lokpal bill, then the whole purpose will be lost. What do you have to say on this?
Right, Sanjay. अन्ना जी, ये सवाल जो चेन्नई से आया है, वो कह रहे हैं कि आप जो भी वर्जन या जो भी प्रपोजल्स हैं, प्रोविजंस आप चाहते हैं, आप इस जॉइंट ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी में आगे कर सकते हैं, लेकिन जो बिल पारित होगा पार्लियामेंट के अंदर, वो सरकार और पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज पे निर्भर होगा. तो अगर वो एक टुथलेस बिल पास करते हैं तो उसमें आप क्या कर पाएंगे?
नहीं, हम लोकशाही का स्वीकार किया. पार्लियामेंट में क्या होगा या हम बाद में देखने के बाद फिर आगे क्या करना है हम लोग तय करेंगे.
Mr. Bhushan, do you believe that at least some of the inputs that have been given by civil society members, the drafting committee, will not be taken into account when the government goes ahead?
If the people continue to raise their voice in a peaceful manner, in a disciplined manner, I have a very strong confidence no political party would be able to disregard it. This demand, which will be made by the people of India, will have to be regarded by all the MPs sitting in the parliament, and they will be compelled to pass a proper law. It's only a question that the people should keep their vigil and keep their voice alive.
Right, Ms. Bedi.
I think media will have a very important role to play in this. If you keep the people informed about what Lokpal bill stands for, what are the safeguards, what is it going to do, that is the only way the constituents, the people will keep themselves informed. They need to go back to the representatives, they need to go back to their MPs and ask what is the MP's view on it. Because after all, this is a common man's bill. It is benefiting a common man across the length and breadth of this country. It is not for Anna and us. It is for all of us as Indians. It is for India as a whole. Something which India has been waiting since independence. Therefore, I think media has a very, very important role to play in keeping the people informed correctly and not wrongly or not in a confused manner, but put across what we're saying today. Repeat these programs in Hindi and English and other languages so that the common man connects. Did you know what? Baba Ramdev had connected with the common man. He was speaking their language. He was going length and breadth of this country, explaining to them in their language. So we'll have to go beyond Hindi and English to other languages so that the common man through this message understands. And he challenges the member parliament saying, you want my vote? Then I want your vote for this Anti-Corruption Act.
Well, some would say the government spin doc possibly need to learn something there from Baba Ramdev. But just to take the question of corruption being an election issue, In your opinion, do you believe that were this government not to accede to some of the provisions that are being suggested, and rightly so, as they are saying, that should go into this Lokpal legislation to give it some teeth, do you believe that in the elections this will become an issue? Will corruption truly, in your opinion, realistically be an issue?
Certainly it will be an issue, because people now, we have realized how much money is lost to the country and consequently to their development. It is bound to be an issue. Just imagine 1,76,000 crores of rupees in one scam, 70,000 in another scam. Now a new oil scam has come which is running into lakhs and lakhs of crores of rupees. People are understanding, people are feeling the pinch of these scams. Therefore, it will be definitely a very hot issue.
Okay, we'll wait for that. There's the second round of assembly elections in the first quarter of 2012 as well. We have another caller, Shaju George from Pune. Shaju, what's your question?
Yes, hello. Yeah, I am happy to be a part of this session, and I support this team for fighting against corruption and making awareness in the society. But my question is, how can you justify your fasting unto death and demanding the government something and just like threatening the government? How can you justify it? A civilian asking a demand from the government and fasting unto death. It's a demand, it's a terrorist-like demand. And how can you justify it as a simple civilian? It is against democracy, it is against the constitution.
अन्ना जी, ये सवाल आप लेना चाहेंगे? शाजू जॉर्ज है पुणे से, वो कह रहे हैं कि ये फास्ट का जो एक मेथड है प्रोटेस्ट करने का, वो कह रहे हैं कि एक डेमोक्रेटिक, उनके हिसाब से डेमोक्रेटिक नहीं है, वो एक तरीके से एक ब्लैकमेल है, वो एक उनका द वर्ड ही यूज्ड टू टेररिस्ट।
के पहले से ये परंपरा आई है, ये नए थोड़ी है, ये तो कई सालों से ये परंपरा आई है। और लोकशाही को मजबूत करना है, सदृढ़ और लोकशाही को निर्माण करना है, तो ये करना ही पड़ेगा। ये जनता का हक है, वो करना ही पड़ेगा। फास्ट है, मौन है, मोर्चे है, धरने है, लोकशाही को मजबूत करने के लिए करना पड़ेगा। जब सरकार अन्याय अत्याचार का और जो बातें सरकार समाज के लिए करना नहीं करते, तो ये बातें सब अपनाना पड़ेगा।
And I just want to add a small thing.
सरकार का ये मानना है कि महात्मा गांधी को ब्लैकमेलर कहना चाहते हैं क्या? ये सोचें, महात्मा गांधी को इतना बड़ा ऊंचा स्थान सारे देश ने दिया, राष्ट्रपिता मानते हैं, आज उसको क्या, आज के मिनिस्टर्स उनको ब्लैकमेलर कहना चाहते हैं?
Mr. Bhushan, they'll make a difference here. The confrontation there was with the British Raj. They would say this is an elected government in place.
Even after independence, he fasted in 47. Therefore, can it be said that he was a blackmailer?
And fasted
for right things, for doing something good for the country. Sometimes this is moral quotient, moral pressure on behalf of the people of India for a good cause. It cannot be called blackmail.
And fast is self-suffering. You suffer yourself.
Yes.
That's all you have. What do you have? Your own suffering, which you donating to the your country.
I just want to add a small thing. Right. There are so many people in this country who have fasted to death for so many other causes. The government did not pay any heed to them. After 4 or 5 days, they force feed that person. It is not that the government is afraid of Anna's fast. It is the thousands and lakhs of people who come on the streets and support Anna's fast against corruption that the government is afraid of. So they are not being blackmailed by Anna. They are threatened by the public support that this fast is getting.
All right, moral coercion is a legitimate method to put pressure on the government is the word here from Team Anna. We're going to take a quick break here. We have time though. When we come back for a couple more questions, keep those calls coming in. Welcome back, Team Anna are answering your questions in the proposed Lokpal legislation. We're going to take 2 quick email questions. One of you, Sharma 1313, writing in to ask, why in the name of corruption are you trying to create disaffection for a democratically elected government and trying to destabilize it? That's a question. We also have a phoner, I understand, of a similar nature. Mr. Balasubramanian from Bangalore, what's your question, sir?
My question is very simple.
Mr. Anna Hazare, one question was asked Mr. Anna Hazare, why he is not standing for the election. He told the politicians are giving money and the politicians are giving Daruka bottle and that they win the election. Does he mean to say that we are all corrupt? Number one, if the citizens of India are all corrupt, 70 crore people are corrupt, let him change the people of India. Number two, someone was telling about the passport. Is he not aware that tracking number is given and can track where the passport is? Number three, someone was telling about demonetization of currency. First, let the government say each one should have a bank account and that each transaction will be done on passport. And that the money will be there, black and white, will come white.
All right, Mr. Balasubramanian, I don't know if you have time for the black money question, but the mood first to Mr. Bhushan, the first question that I asked of the email as well, the disaffection for a Democrat. There are people who are saying there's an atmosphere of anarchy being created in the country. The Team Anna and several others are looking to cash in on what's already a template of anti-corruption anger that exists to ram down a bad law down our throats, so on and so forth. A quick answer to that.
You see, I think people are missing the correct understanding of democracy. Democracy means rule by the people. It does not mean, you see, this representative democracy that we have today, that you elect your representatives once in 5 years and thereafter for 5 years they will on their own decide and rule over this country. This completely distorted perception of democracy. The people who are elected are supposed to be ruling on behalf of the people. They are only the representatives of the people, but they are supposed to take into account the wishes and the views of the people. Today it is being said that we are the elected representatives, we will decide what kind of laws to be passed. We are saying, why don't you take the wishes of the people into account? Why don't you have a referendum? If you have any doubt about what the people want, have a referendum on these issues, whether the Prime Minister should be under the ambit, whether the judiciary should be under the ambit, whether MPs taking bribes in Parliament should be under the ambit, etc.
Right.
Have a referendum on this.
Right. We're delving into the area of electoral reforms as well, but I need to take a quick comment from you, Mr. Bhushan. Mr. Anna Hazare, the question that came from the viewer when asked the question about the fact that these elected representatives said that a vote can be sold for a sari and a bottle of liquor. Some would say that we're being too presumptuous, we're insulting the 70 crore voters, as the viewer there seemed to be suggesting. Do you concur with Anna Hazare's views on that?
Well, I think even the government today realizes lots of electoral reforms are required. In fact, electoral reforms have been on the table. I remember from 77, we were trying to, after we didn't get the full term, we couldn't do it. Electoral reforms have been on the table. But
isn't it unfair, sir, to presume that the voter is selling his vote?
We are not presuming. Voter is an intelligent person. But today the voter's mood on corruption is that he is insisting that a strong Lokpal bill of the kind of which we want must be enacted. And therefore they are raising their voice, which will have to be listened to by the ruling party.
I'm afraid we've run completely out of time. Quickly,
look what happened in what happened in Tamil Nadu elections. The voter after voter came and said, I took my money. I took my money because it was my money. But I didn't vote for that party.
All right. That's the final word. Appreciate Team Anna, Mr. Prashant Bhushan, Kiran Bedi, Anna Hazare himself, Arvind Kejriwal, Mr. Shanti Bhushan, Justice Santosh Hegde there in Bangalore. Appreciate you joining us on this special show. Thanks so much for watching.
Right.